What's going on to all the kings and queens? Welcome to another episode of the Wakanime Nation podcast. I'm your boy Hisagi, joined by my brother Hook. What's going on, player?
Man, I'm doing great today. We got a big part happening today as we dive into this One Piece 1 to 1000. You know, we're talking about your favorite character. He might be labeled as like one of the strongest, you know?
Not favorite, second favorite. First place goes to Law. All right, second place we'll get that to your boy Roronoa Zoro. But yeah,
He's one of the strongest, you know. He a big body, you know. He be doing things around there, you know?
he getting up there. One of the strongest, maybe.
I mean, out of the supernovas, he's probably the top.
Right. Probably, I would say he's top 35 that we've seen in One Piece thus
Top
far.
30. 35 is a large number, you know that, right? So
Yeah.
I'm talking about the supernovas. There's only 11 supernovas, so I'm trying
No,
to figure out.
35 characters that we've seen in One Piece.
I don't think you even know 35 names of characters, so I'm confused how it can be top 35.
We gonna do that? So
I mean, it's an honest answer, you know.
it's implied by Hook's disrespectful response. But your boy Hisagi here, I'm a little new to One Piece. I caught up during this quarantine, went through all these chapters, and you guys have heard my
Wait.
kind of
We've
opinion.
already done all this. Yeah, we need to get into the meat and potatoes there, sir. You get going into this, long talk. We know you knew, and you make a lot of mistakes. We understand.
Right, mistakes on
On
how
you
there's
speed
how
reading,
to,
you
how
missed a lot of steps.
there's very to little character development in One Piece.
That's false. So,
I'm,
what do you think Zoro's role is in this whole thing here?
Zoro's role is he's the right hand man to your boy Luffy, the
Mm.
up and coming pirate king. That's what I've gathered throughout this journey of 1,006 chapters that or 7 chapters. So yeah, he's Luffy's right hand man. He helps keep the crew in line when they get out of I guess when they get out of hand or go outside the bounds of what they need to be, I guess, doing, which doesn't happen often, but it has happened a couple of times throughout this whole journey. And yeah, he's pretty much taken out all the, I would say, second in commands or um the small fry while Luffy is handling the big bosses and all the arcs. I think that's Zoro. I think that sums up Zoro's role pretty well.
Yeah, pretty much the right hand man. He's a Silver Israeli to Goldie Roger. He's the next up.
Hmm.
Hey, he might be. I mean, I'm not gonna say it, but he can't be the strongest out of all the Straw Hats. If you had to rank all the Straw Hats, do you think he's like the strongest, like combat wise? You
I
just
would put him at number 3. Jinbei at number 2.
what?
And
Oh,
then
nah, that's not true. That's far from true. I don't. Can you explain? I don't even know if I want you to explain it. Matter of fact, can you explain it just to be sure?
so okay, now that Zoro has learned Conqueror's Hockey, spoiler alert for those who, I guess, haven't caught up with the current manga. But yeah, I guess he's learned Conqueror's Hockey. So on one hand, you can argue he's stronger than Jinbei, but I think seeing Jinbei actually be a warlord and be considered a warlord through much of the series. I mean, he was already like stronger than Luffy pre time skip and then most of post time skip. And then we've actually seen Jinbei in action. It was a small bit, but we've seen him in action protecting the crew against Big Mom. I thought that was noteworthy. I think it's the equivalent, or I think even better than what Zoro pulled off against Kaido. So that's why I put Jinbei at number 2.
Dang, word. All right. I mean, starting out, he was a pretty big force. He started out pretty strong. Like he was the first person Luffy met. Well, second person technically, but the first person to join his crew. Like he had high hopes. You don't really just say anybody just to join your crew. When he joined in the Romance Dawn, I was sort of like, all right, like you got a swordsman. I don't know. Like I didn't really have too much of opinion on One Piece initially starting out. Did you have anything like to think about like when you
No, I
was?
actually didn't like it, but I grew into it as we
I
went.
mean, I forced you to sort of do it as a part of our deal. We had a deal. Remember that,
Right.
and you followed through.
I
So
did.
eventually, you gotta reread One Piece to make sure you got all those details in there.
I did.
No, no, you
So,
gotta reread it again and watch it.
ah, but yeah, starting out Zoro and Zoro and Romance Dawn. Yeah, I don't. It'll be difficult for me to actually try to reread One Piece all again. But I liked Zoro in the beginning. I was really excited just because coming from all the other two of the big three, which is Bleach and Naruto, you kind of look forward to characters that you know gonna give you some bangers in terms of
Hey,
fights. And
speaking of bangers, though, on that Baratier, that was a banger. You know, seeing Zoro versus Hawkeye.
I wouldn't call it a banger. I would say it was more of a slaughter. Um, Hawkeye basically had a pocket knife and defeated Zoro with it. But what I do like about that moment is that it kind of established a goal for Zoro. We kind of already knew, but it it pretty much framed it for us and it put into context just how massive of a journey they would have to go on for Zoro to get to that level. I mean, Zoro had three swords and Miyok had a pocket knife that he beat
Mm.
him with.
He
So,
was so calm. He was like, "I don't really need these swords. I could just use this pocket knife that just hangs from my neck. That's
right,
more than enough." I was like, "Dang."
right. So, I think that was a really good moment in the series for Zoro at least. But yeah, moving on from there, um, I think Zoro grew into his role as vice captain pretty well, even up until I would say the time skip. I loved it. I would say his most notable moments that I enjoyed and liked was definitely Water Seven, in Indy's lobby, and then
Word.
following that, although I did not like, I you know how I feel about Thriller Bark. Didn't like it at all. But Zoro had a really big moment towards the end. So I thought that was done really well.
Mm. I
Um
mean, I feel like Zoro's constantly done a more of like a growth, like he's constantly doing something. Like first in the beginning, he was just a strong guy, but like towards like Whiskey Peak and Jai, he sort of like took over that role of like, all right, if we're really gonna do this, let me show that I can be the strongest and that I'm gonna be the best swordsman. Because ever since he made that commitment to Luffy, like being like his right hand, he's been working out, sleeping, keeping everybody safe, doing what he needs to do. Like I don't think I've ever seen Zoro lose since he took that first loss. Like I was like, dang, all right, Zoro.
I think he's taking a L at, yeah,
From
at
who?
Thriller Bark.
Thriller Bark. Who did he
Right.
take an L from?
I mean, he wasn't gonna do anything with Puma.
I
Yeah,
mean, you could say Puma, I say Kuma, but like we
I'm
we,
sorry,
we say,
Kuma. I'm sorry.
hey, that's why I question if you got 35 names to say
It,
he's a 35th on a
it,
string test. Like I
he
was
wa
like, I don't know.
he wasn't gonna do anything to him. I mean, the pawpaw fruit, that thing is overpowered, just as overpowered as the op fruit, in my opinion. Zoro wasn't messing with him. Uh,
Yo,
yeah,
but
I
think
think
about Thriller Bark, like in his commitment of like taking all of Luffy's pain. Like I was like, man, that's commitment there. Like he
yeah,
said, nah, I'm gonna do it all, save his life. You can have mine. I was like, word.
yeah, I think that's pretty cool. He did his thing, vice captain. I am curious to see what you think about this hook because this is where we differ. You're much more you end up on the other side of the fence when we talk about this. I
I mean,
think
just to be clear, I'm only at like I'm at the NS lobby arc when am I rewatching, so I might be a little fuzzy.
it's
Might
fine.
be.
But I think, in my 1000 and whatever chapters of catching up, not only do I think there hasn't been much character development with Zoro outside of his actual skills as a swordsman, but
Mm.
I actually think he's gotten the least amount of development out of the Straw Hats, and I would like to see more of it moving
I
forward.
mean, if you I could roughly go through like each, like at the beginning he didn't really have much, like not until like I felt like Whiskey Peak, where like he took on that role of being the vice captain when Luffy was incapacitated. He's like, all right, I'll fulfill the captain duties, kept everybody safe. He did that there, and then like even in Jaya arc, like he like I don't know, I guess it's like a big thing to have like commitment in Luffy. Like when he took that fight from Inel and got shocked, like he knew he couldn't beat him, but he knew his captain could. I guess that's one thing, like understanding his role, being the strongest, taking out the strongest fighter. because when he had to fight that cloud sword guy, I can't remember his name. I don't. He's inefficient at this point. But yeah, he did what he had to do. I'm just saying, like, something you can't remember every character. Like
No, it's fine.
Zoro has a large hit list. Like everybody. Oh, I can't remember the number one guy from Alabasta. Like, you remember his name?
Oh, Mr. One.
You know what's his real name? Like,
Oh, I
man.
don't know. Who cares?
Oh, okay. Okay, so you probably only got like 20 names now after you said that. But to move on, yeah, like Zoro's taking his point and like always being the strongest no matter what. And I feel like that's the goal of being the right hand man is you can't be far behind the top guy.
Yeah, I agree, but I just want to see more development. I would say, as far as his growth and development goes, we did get some a good glimpse when basically he found out that Ace had died, and Luffy was pretty much trying to fight the war on his own, without the Straw Hat crew, which came after they got separated. It was cool to see, him go to the person who he declared as his enemy, or the person who he declared as like a goal or person to surpass, and Mihawk, and ask Mihawk to train him. He pretty much was like, he was like, gave up his head. He bowed to Mihawk, I believe, at one point, asking Mihawk to train him so that he would be stronger and not lose. And I think Mihawk actually ridiculed him in that moment, but everything, all of that, like, that came out of Zoro at that time was for Luffy's sake. So
I do have a question for you. Like,
yeah,
since you've made it this far, who do you think is going to be Zoro's final opponent? Like, to prove that he's the strongest swordsman.
it'll
Like,
definitely be Mihawk.
you think so?
Yep.
I think it'd be like Shiryu of the Rain. I feel like it's gonna be him. He has his devil fruit. He has his sword. I feel like
You
he's.
think so?
I feel like Shiryu is probably gonna take out Mihawk or do something to Mihawk where he's no longer able to be the top swordsman. So like what happened to Shanks, like some sort of injury, and then it'll be Shiryu, and then that'll be the final fight. Because you even said it yourself, like he got trained by Mihawk. So what's the point of this fight now that he's trained him up and he's like, okay, now that we've done that, like we need to have our real battle. I think it's gonna be somebody that he's gonna have like to be against. Like he's never met him face to face. Like they've never met, but they are both swordsmen. They're both like the right hand mans of and then the captains are mortal enemies of each other. So I feel like he's gonna be the person that he fights, and that sure is gonna be given the title of strongest swordsman for Zoro to take.
Mm, I see where you're going with this. I don't I think that'll be interesting. I wouldn't like it.
What? So you want to
Just
see him? You want to see him face Mihawk to see who's the
I
strongest?
I do. The reason I wouldn't like it is because that plot path that you just laid out, I think that's going to be extremely similar to what I think will happen with Luffy eventually. I think Shanks will have some type of clash with Blackbeard, and I do think Blackbeard will probably end up winning, may actually take out Shanks. And I think Luffy and Shanks won't have that grand finale that was promised to them, and Luffy will end up fighting Blackbeard. So I think I wouldn't want to see that same thing happen between like Zoro and Mihawk. I would like to see like an
I get what you're
actual clash.
saying. I get what you're saying, but it's like they match up too much against each other. Like eventually, Luffy and Blackbeard are gonna have to fight, and those are the two people. And then like it's not gonna be just captain versus captain. It's gonna be crew versus crew, and the numbers almost match up identically, like across the board. Like you look at everybody, like okay, there's two there, there's two there, swordsman. Like they're gonna have to fight each other because Luffy's not gonna be like whatever. I feel like Blackbeard's gonna do one more thing to like push Luffy to that edge, and then like you're gonna see like that Bam thing, like all right, this is the last straw, and then he take everybody out. I'm sorry to use that Tower God reference. I shouldn't have done it, but I had to make it so that you would understand it. But yeah, I feel like that might be it. We don't really know what could happen. A lot could happen. A lot of people thought that like Zoro would fight King in the Wano arc, and the way it's looking right now is like we don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah,
So Wano is one of your favorite arcs in the series. what do you think about Zoro's I guess portrayal throughout this arc?
Uh, Through this, I think it's. I mean, I haven't really seen much. He's done more of like, I wouldn't want to say like a background thing, but he's been like the guy that sort of keeps everything like going. Like even though he was supposed to stay undercover and he got outlawed, like he's still
Mhm.
like handling people. He had to face Killer, which we found out who nobody knew was Killer until he was actually defeated. Like I'm like, okay, Zoro has strength. And you see him like actually put a deep scar on Kaido. Wasn't like something that was debilitating, but at the same time, it was a mark. You know, it was a nice little scratch.
His fight against Killer was nice.
That's
Was
the best animation I've seen out of the big three right there. Like I was like, I ain't never seen nothing like that before.
Oh, you mean wait, what? You talk about like
So
Luffy,
like yeah, so the
Sanji,
Wano
and
arc was pretty good, yeah. And then honestly, like out of those two, like if I had to pick Lara or Zoro, I pick Zoro every time. Like
yeah, I'm not getting. I think we've seen Zoro have his big moments
mm.
in his fights throughout the series. I just in terms of actual character growth and development, I think there's only really been two moments that
Oh, you mean when
he
Usopp coming back? When Usopp came back?
no, I wouldn't really refer to that as like a month like a moment of growth or development. I think
Mm.
that was Zoro doing his job as the second in command, and he was just reminding Luffy that and the rest of the crew, we're not playing games here. This is the real deal. We're pirates. We're gonna sail around the world. We're going through the Grand Line. We can't tolerate insubordination. So that was just him being, the right hand man for Luffy. But I think what like his moment of growth was definite. It definitely came um with the fight against Mihawk. He lost. It was devastating. It was bad, but he promised he would never lose again. And then I think the next time was after everything that happened at Marineford when he asked Mihawk to train him. So he humbled himself. He was on his knees. Um he basically went to his I don't want to say arch nemesis because it kind of infers that there's bad blood between them, which they're not.
I mean,
This
he
is
did
just
give him his first defeat and a big reminder as a scar, and we don't even know what happened to his eye that is closed. So like I'm just like he's sort of like arch nemesis. You don't really. He's received his most bodily damage from Mihawk, and
well,
that's
we don't
something that I.
we don't know. Once
What you
again,
mean we
I
don't
think
know? He had a 2 year time skip. All of a sudden, one eye's closed. Only person he's
right.
been
It,
with is Mihawk.
it could have been in baboons.
Nah, he took care of the baboons on the first day because that's what he had to do in order to be like taken in by Mihawk.
Yeah, but then there was like a Oda cut away from the fight when the like King Baboon walked up to Zoro with Mihawk's sword or whatever, and Mihawk was like, "This one learned from imitating me and my moves." So he cut away from that fight like he normally does, which is fine.
Dang,
But
you
once
ain't got to
again,
say it like that.
it's fine. We just don't know enough about Zoro other than what we learned in Romance Dawn. So all in all, I like Zoro as a character, mainly because I like all of his fights and the portrayals during the fight. I think his boss. I don't think there's like a lot of bangers in terms of fights in One Piece, but most of them involve Zoro.
Mm.
Um, I would like to see more character development for him. I think he's gotten maybe the least out of all of the Straw Hats. I would say even less than um, Brooke and Nico Robin. But
Uh,
yeah,
I mean, we had a previous discussion, and you highlighted how characters in your favorite had two big developmental moments, and like you just highlighted two big moments for Zoro. So like, I mean, I would say like from your perspective, given what you said earlier offline, like this two could be a good number. And this isn't even the end. We haven't even seen what else happens in Wano. Like more can happen.
Wano feels like it's wrapping up, and I think as
Nah.
far as far as Zoro's journey, it looks
Oh,
like
because
it's
I was
about
like,
to come.
it goes like a play. So there's normally like I think it's 5 acts, and we've only hit 3 acts so far. So I mean, there's more to happen. So, like, could you tell me your favorite action scene that you've seen with Zoro then? Because
Against Killer, hands down.
against Killer.
Um, yeah, I didn't know that was Killer initially. I
I think
didn't
I
know.
told you. I think I told you afterwards. He was like, "Oh,
Yeah, you did, and I went back and I rewatched it. I was like, "Wait, is that Killer?" And I
I,
was like, "Oh, this might be." And then, sure enough, it ended up being Killer. So I thought that was epic. Like the just Zoro's journey to getting Emma, I just thought was done really well. But that was definitely the best, I think, fight with Zoro throughout the whole series. And then I would give a very close second to the fight that he had in Fishman Island. I
really?"
thought that yeah, I thought that was a really good fight. I like that one.
Hmm. I
But
don't know. I feel like ever since time skip, Zoro's been like rolling through everybody. Like it's been nothing. Like first he beat the octopus guy, then he beat Pika like it was nothing, and it's like I can't really remember a good fight that he's had since time skip. Like my favorite still today is the one where he fights Kaku, and I'm just like, dang, that man, like what we saw then, now we realize now is that he was the first one to really use his King's Hockey because it sure is the manifestation of it. And I'm just like, man, maybe Zoro should have been the captain. Maybe Luffy should have been the right hand man. So like, do you feel like Zoro is a right hand man?
definitely, more so than everyone else on the Straw Hat crew. I know there's like this rivalry between him and Shanks, but I think it's Zoro is definitely number two.
Dang. All right. And like, what do you think would be the next step for like possibly Oda to see like, okay, this is the next development that he needs to have? Like, do you have
Well,
a rough idea?
I mean, I would like to know what happened between Zoro and Mihawk. That would help.
Oda never goes backwards. Oda just keeps going forward. But he no, he does go backwards. I lied. Dang, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
He
learned
go
about.
backwards a lot.
We learned Luffy had a whole brother, you know, because Oda went backwards. But apart from that, I would like to know what transpired between him and Mihawk. I would like to see some more development between Zoro and, like, I don't know, his relationships with other people. Shushigi. I'm not sure if I said that right, but yeah, I would love to see like more interactions between them. Because I mean, she's on a quest to be a strong swordsman, although she's in the Navy. So
She's more like on the Kobe level. Like she's like, there's a big difference between Luffy and Kobe. It's sort of like that. Like Zoro,
what
she like if you would have said Smoker, I'd be like, all right, that's pretty close. Like they can
got it,
possibly do what they need to do. I mean, I'm not
got it.
trying to offend you or nothing like that.
No, I'm just saying in terms of actual character development, I would like to see more interactions between the two of them. Um, in terms of, I mean, maybe somehow him inspiring her to be better than what she is. But yeah, I think just in general, the in terms of the future of the story, the only kind of option that we have is for Zoro to fight, of course, the number two of the Blackbeard's crew, as well as I would say Mihawk. I doubt he'll get into a fight with Shanks. That's definitely Luffy gonna handle that.
I
But
don't know.
I
They're
will.
best friends. I don't see why they would fight each other. Like
Who
they wouldn't have anything to gain.
who?
I'm talking about Shanks and Luffy. Like, what would they have to fight each other for? Shanks is laid back. Like, Shanks is like, nah, I
Yeah,
do my own thing.
Luffy said he wants to take down all the Yonko, and he says save Shanks for him. That was what he told Law. So I think Luffy has no problem having a nice little fight against Shanks. I think that's one of his goals. But I will say this: it's allegedly Shanks he's a really good swordsman. So yeah, so good to the fact that although Mihawk is the greatest, Mihawk says he don't want to be. It's a lot to be messing with Shanks even with one arm. Shanks showed up at Marineford, and Mihawk was like, "Okay, y'all ain't paying me enough for this. I'm gonna see y'all later." So with that said, I mean, a good Zoro versus Shanks fight would be nice. Um, and Shanks beating Zoro down and showing him you good, but you got a ways to go.
Wow. I mean, he trained with Mihawk for 2 years, so I don't think it'll happen like that. Like, probably.
I mean,
And now he's powering up, you know.
we saw what Kaido did to him.
I mean, he already okay. I mean,
One shot.
I'm just waiting to see what Sanji does. Sanji ready to kick in, you know, do some nasty. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for it.
We'll save that for another time. Anywho, I think this was good. I didn't say too many bad things about Zoro,
I
so I
mean,
hope.
you tried to, you know, but I think I think you
Yeah,
knew. Not,
yeah,
not,
it's fine. But I like him. Second favorite character behind Law.
mm.
But I think we can wrap this up here. Any last words?
Uh, thank you, Zoro, for being who you are. I appreciate everything you do. And Nami, you next.
Peace. Thanks to all you kings and queens for listening. To get more of the Wakanime Nation podcast by your boys Hisagi and Hooked, join the nation by hitting that subscribe button and check us out on Twitter and the gram. Peace.